Every productivity app on your phone is a monument to a failed attempt. You think the failure is yours, that you lacked the willpower, that you weren't disciplined enough. But what if the system itself was designed to fight you? This debate has no easy answers, and brilliant people occupy both camps. One side believes human nature is a bug to be fixed with better software. The other believes it's the operating system, and we must write code that respects it. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might change your mind. The first argument is one of elegant, mechanical logic. It says that the human mind is a messy, distractible, and deeply unreliable engine for sustained work. Your brain is a brilliant idea generator. It is a terrible filing cabinet. Relying on your mind to remember what needs to be done is like using a racehorse to plow a field. It's a spectacular waste of a specific talent. The solution, according to this school of thought, is the system. A robust external structure that compensates for our innate weaknesses. This is the world of time blocking, zero-inbox methodologies, and detailed project management software. The core principle here is cognitive offloading. Your brain's working memory is shockingly small, like the RAM on a very old computer. It can only hold a few pieces of information at once before it starts to lag and drop things. Asking it to simultaneously remember to buy milk, prepare for the 9 a.m. meeting, email that client back, and also think creatively about a hard problem is a recipe for failure. A system, whether it's a simple notebook or a complex app, acts as an external hard drive. It stores the tasks, the dates, the reminders. This frees up your precious mental RAM to do the one thing it's uniquely good at: deep, focused work. Every task captured in your system is one less open loop rattling around in your skull, draining your energy. It's a strategy of manufactured peace. You can be fully present on the task at hand because you trust that everything else is safely stored, waiting for its turn. The system remembers, so you don't have to. This logic extends beyond just memory. It's about managing future decisions. Proponents of this view argue that willpower is a finite, exhaustible resource. You wake up with a certain amount, and every decision you make, from what to wear to how to respond to an annoying email, depletes it. By the end of the day, your decision-making capacity is shot. This is why you eat junk food at night and scroll endlessly instead of reading a book. Your willpower battery is dead. A good system is a pre-decision machine. You use your high willpower moments, perhaps on a Sunday evening, to plan your week. You decide in advance what you'll work on, what you'll eat, when you'll exercise. You are engineering your future self's environment to make the right choices the easiest choices. You're laying out the train tracks so that the train has no option but to go to the correct destination. The goal is to make success the path of least resistance. That sounds convincing. Structure, logic, and pre-planned success. It's an engineer's dream. But there's a problem. A huge one. The system is only as good as its design, and most systems are designed for a fictional person. A person who has no bad days, no sudden slumps in energy, no emotional turbulence. A person who is, for all intents and purposes, a robot. This brings us to the other side of the debate. This camp argues that most productivity systems create more problems than they solve. They create guilt, shame, and burnout by forcing us into a relentless battle against our own nature. The core idea here is that human beings are biological creatures, not machines. We have rhythms, cycles, and emotional states that cannot be scheduled away or ignored. Trying to impose a rigid mechanical system onto a fluid, organic being is like trying to build a skyscraper out of water. It's a fundamental mismatch of materials. And when the structure inevitably collapses, we blame the water for being wet. Consider our biological clocks. Sleep science has confirmed the existence of chronotypes. Some people are lions, early risers who are most alert at dawn. Others are wolves, who get their best ideas long after the sun has gone down. And most are bears, synced to the solar day. Yet a huge amount of productivity gospel is built on the monolithic idea that waking up at 5 a.m. is the key to success. For a lion, this is great advice. For a wolf, it is a recipe for chronic sleep deprivation, cognitive impairment, and misery. The system is asking them to perform at their absolute worst, day after day. It's telling them their natural rhythm is a character flaw. This extends beyond our sleep. We all operate on what are called Ultradian rhythms. Throughout the day, our energy and focus naturally ebb and flow in cycles of about 90 to 120 minutes. We experience a peak of high energy concentration, followed by a trough where our brain needs to rest and recover. Smart work involves honoring this rhythm, working in focused sprints, then taking a real break to recharge. The popular Pomodoro technique is a simplified version of this. But what does a typical rigid system demand? It demands you sit and focus for 3-hour blocks because that's what the calendar says. It ignores the dip in your energy, it tells you to push through. But pushing through the trough isn't a sign of discipline. It's a sign of ignorance. You're redlining the engine. You can do it for a while, but it causes immense wear and tear. You get less done, the work is of lower quality, and you end the day feeling utterly drained. You're fighting your own body, and your body will always win in the end. It wins by getting sick, by burning out, by simply refusing to cooperate. And yet, this is only part of the story. There is a deeper, more psychological resistance at play. When a system feels inauthentic, when it feels like a cage you've built for yourself, a part of you will start to rebel. This rebellion is often unconscious. It manifests as procrastination. You know you should be following your perfectly color-coded plan, but you find yourself doing anything else. Cleaning the kitchen. Researching the history of doorknobs. You're not being lazy. You're engaging in a subtle act of sabotage against a system that feels like a prison. The energy you're supposed to be spending on your work is now being spent on a low-grade civil war between the part of you that wants to be productive and the part of you that wants to be free. The system itself becomes the primary source of friction. You spend more time maintaining your to-do list, migrating tasks, and reorganizing your projects than you do actually accomplishing anything. The system, which was meant to be a tool, has become the work itself. This creates a vicious cycle. You fail to follow the system, you feel guilty, and you double down. You decide you need an even more rigid system, a new app, a stricter schedule. But this only increases the internal resistance. It's like trying to fix a seized engine by pouring sand in the gas tank. You are diagnosing the problem incorrectly. The problem isn't a lack of discipline. The problem is a crisis of authenticity. The system doesn't fit who you are, and your subconscious is screaming for you to notice. But let's be honest. Does this work with your nature argument just provide a sophisticated excuse for chaos? If we only work when we feel energized and inspired, how would anything difficult ever get done? Society is built on people doing things they don't feel like doing. Taxes get paid, reports get filed, children get fed at 3 a.m. The world runs on obligation, not inspiration. Critics of this intuitive approach argue that our feelings are fickle, unreliable guides for long-term achievement. Your feelings want you to eat the cake, skip the gym, and watch another episode. Following your feelings is a path to short-term comfort and long-term regret. Surely, the answer has to be a structure that overrides these temporary, short-sighted impulses. This is the core tension. It's a trade-off between mechanical efficiency and biological reality. One side offers a path to predictable output, but the price might be a sense of alienation and burnout. The other side offers a path to authentic, sustainable work, but the risk is a descent into inconsistency and underachievement. Most people get this wrong. They see it as a binary choice between two opposing philosophies. You are either team discipline or team intuition. The truth is more complicated. The most productive people in the world are not fighting a war against their nature. They have simply conducted a more thorough reconnaissance of the battlefield. They understand their chronotype. They know their personal Ultradian rhythm. They know what kind of work energizes them and what kind drains them. And then they use that knowledge to build a bespoke system. They apply the principles of structure, of cognitive offloading, of friction management, but they apply it to a template of one. They build a system that fits them perfectly, like a custom-made suit. For example, a writer who is a wolf chronotype doesn't just write when they feel like it. That's amateur hour. Instead, they accept that their brain comes alive at 10 p.m. They ruthlessly protect that time. They build a system where their family understands not to disturb them. They set up their environment so that from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., the path of least resistance leads directly to the keyboard. They use a system, but it's their system. It's built on self-knowledge, not on a guru's generic advice. Conversely, a lion CEO who has to make high-stakes decisions doesn't leave it to chance. They know their mind is sharpest from 6 to 9 a.m. So they structure their day to make all critical decisions during that window. Their afternoon is for lower energy tasks, like clearing emails or routine meetings. They're using a rigid system, but it's a system built around a deep respect for their personal energy curve. The great irony of productivity is that you often have to try on a dozen ill-fitting, off-the-shelf systems before you gather enough self-knowledge to build one that actually works for you. Each failure is a data point. The 5 a.m. Club's failure taught you that you're a wolf. The failure of complex project management software taught you that you prefer simple tactile lists. The failure of long unstructured days taught you that you need the rhythm of something like the Pomodoro technique. These failures are the curriculum. They are the price of admission to self-awareness. The problem is that most people stop at the failure. They conclude that they are broken, that they are undisciplined, that they are lazy. They fail to ask the next, more important question: what did this failure teach me about how I actually operate? So we're left with a paradox. You need a system to escape the chaos of your unreliable impulses. But a system that ignores your nature will only create a more orderly, high-tech form of misery and rebellion. The ultimate productivity hack is to stop looking for a hack. It's to stop looking for the perfect app or the one true methodology. It's to turn that investigative energy inward. It's the slow, unglamorous work of self-observation. It's tracking your energy for a week without judgment. It's noticing which tasks leave you buzzing and which leave you hollowed out. It's accepting your biological realities instead of wishing they were different. The goal is to build a cage so perfectly shaped to your own dimensions that it no longer feels like a cage. It feels like scaffolding. It feels like support. It feels like freedom. This reframes the entire debate. The purpose of a productivity system is not to force you to do the work. It is to create the conditions under which the work becomes the most natural, compelling thing to do. It's to clear away the distractions, quiet the anxieties, and align the task with your deepest rhythms so that you can finally get out of your own way. So, where do you draw the line? At what point does a helpful structure become a soul-crushing prison? When you face a task you don't want to do, how do you diagnose the resistance? Is it laziness that needs to be crushed by discipline? Or is it a legitimate signal from your body and mind that you are on the wrong track, using the wrong tools, at the wrong time?